Okay, Mary, you're on.
We're on now? Okay. That's good. Then we will, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March meeting? Motion? Oh, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All those in favor of approving the minutes? No corrections? Thank you. The motion is approved. We're going to not have the treasurer's report next. We want to seat a new member of our council. Bob Humboldt is going to be representing Nunnenkamp now, and we're glad. Welcome, Bob. Thank you for doing that. Some of those people have a hard time getting here. We only have one representative at the moment, but we are looking for another one from Nunnenkamp. Okay, Katie, it's your turn with the treasurer's report.
We started with $1,201.47. We made a deposit from resident council dues, $55, so we're ending with a balance of $1,256.47.
Thank you. We'll move on then and start with our administrative report. They're back there talking. You're up, Cole. You're at bat, so to speak.
Good morning, everybody. All right, start off with our marketing and sales report. So far for the month of May, we have 2 sales on the board, both of which are cottages. Move-in activity, right now we have 7 move-ins for the month. Yeah, and for April as well, not even May. I'm getting excited. Moving this year along. For the month of April, 2 sales, both cottages, 7 move-ins. Of those 7 move-ins, 2 are cottages and 5 apartments. And that brings our overall sold percentage to 97%, our occupied percentage to 94%. All right. Some updates. We have hired a director of finance. Yay. His name is David Clem. David comes to us with 19 years of industry-specific experience, functioning as a CFO at another organization here in Arizona. So excited to have him on the team. I wanted to make you aware of a couple parties we have planned. The first one is the Health Center 15th anniversary party, and that will be happening next Friday, May 3rd from 10 to 2. I know that they will have food trucks at this party, have I think 3 to 4 food trucks featuring different types of food. And then I will also have a booth there with brisket and pulled pork. So if you're feeling hungry on Friday, May 3rd between 10 and 2, come over to the Health Center and help them celebrate 15 years. And it should be a good time. And then May 17th is our anniversary party. That'll be happening in and around the whole village center area as we always do. And again, that's May 17th. That's a Friday as well. And it will be a groovy theme. So break out your hippie gear and join us in celebration. And I think that's all I have to report on.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Are there any questions from the council members? Are there questions from our residents? Ed, somebody has a microphone for you. Ed always knows to wait.
I just wanted to compliment you for the great work you've done in clearing the boulevard of parking.
Yeah, that I wasn't sure if I was going to get asked that or not. I have attended several village area meetings, and that is the question that always comes up. And I guess I'll take the opportunity, just in case folks aren't aware of what was going on, or why really the rationale behind what we did. And that is the curb that is along the boulevard closest to the village center. We painted that red. And the rationale behind it really was it had become a primetime spot for our employees to park. And employee parking is certainly a challenge, and we appreciate that. And for that reason is We engaged the church across the street. We have parking available over there for our employees if they're not able to find parking on our campus. That's where we direct them, and of course, it's not as close as parking along that curb out there. So naturally, folks were using it. We really wanted to regain control of that space, and in absence of painting it red, it was very difficult to simply just tell employees not to park there. In a perfect world, that would work, but it's not a perfect world that we live in. So we decided to paint it red, and that really gives us now control for us to use at our discretion that space as overflow when we have guests on our campus who cannot find parking. Our security team knows to direct those guests to park in that area. So really it was an attempt for us to regain control to ensure that it's always available for that use. So that was the logic behind painting it red.
Are there any other questions of Cole? Thank you, Cole.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
We're going to go out of order on the committee reports a little bit because Ron has someplace to be. So Ron, would you like to give your welcome committee report now, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President and council members. Yeah, I have to, well, I've got plenty of time. Okay. The Welcome Committee has been active hosting new residents and providing publicity for the Welcome Coffee, examining the new resident packets for quality and content, updating as necessary, and preparing the decorations and program of the Welcome Coffee. The April 18th Welcome Coffee introduced 11 new residents to the community. It's quite a good group, interesting. There's Dr. Donald and Louise Collins, Tilly Kiefer, Dr. Frank D'Angelo, Jean and Ed Zimmerman, Dr. Pauline Peverly, Kay DeMarsh, Barbara Feller, and Gunnar Pedersen, and Joanne Kersbergen. This program this month was presented by our resident Marjorie Maud and her Readers Theater, who performed a skit on the humor. I'm not sure how much humor is involved in getting old, but in the humor of getting old, and it was. A lot of laughs were had. Our next Welcome Coffee will be on May 16th, and our own Dr. David Denyer will report on his archaeological digs in the Middle East over the years. I think it'll be extremely interesting. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there questions from the council? Are there questions from our residents? Thank you, Ron. Next up, we have a report from the Activities Committee from Grace Womack.
Well, the pancake breakfast is May 7th at the Rec Center from 8 to 8:45, and this is the last one till fall. Our volunteers mean the world to us was the theme of the volunteers party held yesterday. Those present received a World of Thanks volunteer pin and the volunteers mean the world to us passport. The passports were collected and used for the drawings. 30 people chose eggs containing $5, $10, or $20. And 2 passport people participated in the 5 Olympic games, such as darts and football. And each game had a degree of difficulty. The gold prize was $50 and the silver prize was $25. Compass and transportation was the grand prize, and it was won by Rita Murphy. Fred will drive Rita and a friend to the Hyatt Regency for dinner in the Compass restaurant. Nice. And Getting Groovy is the theme of the 29th anniversary party on May 7th from 4 to 7 p.m. And Grooving through the 60s will be the entertainment in the Skirm Auditorium. Identical shows will be at 5:15 and 6:15 p.m. Food will be available in the buffet and fireside, and Temporary tattoos and face paintings will also be available. And we want to make everyone aware that the performers are reviewed at our monthly meetings, and the members of the committee have as many different opinions as do the residents of the village.
Thank you, Grace. Are there any questions from the council? Oh, you're all very quiet today. How about our resident audience? No questions there either. Thank you, Grace. Sounds like it's going to be a busy month. Our next report is from Kathy for appearance, buildings, grounds, and pool.
Good morning. The first thing I'm going to do is, Mary had asked a number of us to introduce the people who serve on the committees. So if you are here, would you stand or wave your hands or something so we know who you are? These are the residents that serve on our committee: Bobby Bartling, Carmen Bieber, Laura Lee Brawley, Ruth Duncan, Dan Hall, Marianne Lavacek, Wynn Holden, Dan McGavick, Bob Pachetti, Barbara Richards. And the staff members who serve with us and give their time are Emily, Brian, and Richard. We appreciate all these people, their time and their efforts, and let's give them a round of applause. At our April 10th meeting, Brian Scott told us about the work that continues to go on in the pool to get it fully approved. And that has to do with the handlebars in the pool for therapy. Richard told us that all of the citrus has been picked. His staff members are really working on tree trimming now. And that he and Brian attend, I think they were weekly meetings at the City of Tempe to interface regarding the community garden. And that it looks like the City of Tempe will be starting work on the project August or this fall. So it keeps getting pushed back a little bit, but they are going to interface so that we know what's going on and they can work hand in hand. Emily told us that they are still working on receiving bids, or bids, for the cost of redoing the lobby. They did tell us that a design board would be provided to the committee once all the decisions have been made. And they weren't quite there yet, but she also told us that work on the lobby wouldn't occur until after the anniversary party is over. So they weren't in the midst of that. We did have a request from a resident to take a look at the entrance to Nunnenkamp to prevent the cold air or the hot air blowing in when you walk into Nunnenkamp. We were told that several options had been looked at, one being an airlock similar to the main entrance where you come into the center, but that was going to be cost prohibitive, we were told. So they are looking into an air curtain option. And I'm not exactly sure what that is, but they are still exploring that to see if they can bring some relief to especially the person sitting right at the desk, so it isn't so hot or cold. And then we had a request from a resident to see what we could do about housing the puzzles that are on the floor in the Coconino Lounge. And Brian Scott is taking care of that. He's been down there, he looked at it, he's ordering another shelving unit to match the one that's there, and they'll be taking care of that. And that's pretty much it.
Are there any questions from the council? We have one here.
I was wondering if you have any knowledge of when the lights in the pool itself will be operational, so they'll be on at night for night swimming?
I don't, but I'll find out. I'll ask.
Thank you.
Are there any we have a question from the residents?
Kathy, at the
Yeah.
northeast corner of our property, there's an exit gate that hasn't been functional for about 2 weeks.
Right.
I suspect it's awaiting parts, but do you have any estimate as to when it might be available?
Nope, but I'll see what I can find out about that too.
Thank you.
When the gate will be ready.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, Kathy.
You are welcome.
And thank you, members, for coming, too. Next up is Ed Kearns from Communications.
Good morning. I've been asked to introduce the members of Communications Committee. Would they please stand? Are any of them here? Okay. Okay. Thank you. At our last meeting, a new member, Cheryl Kirk, who just stood up, was introduced. Travis was asked again about telecall reception in the SCRM. He said further work is needed. He's hoping the new employee, Paul Nastav, who's a sound engineer, can help with that. We plan to invite him to future committee meetings. Travis reported on the use of an app to convert SCRM microphone input to closed captions on an online site. I am using it right here, right now, on my cell phone. And anyone here could do that with a smartphone. Bob Helmbold is surely looking at his because he got this whole thing started. AV volunteers need more training to make sure they have connections enabled in the SCRM where people are here. He also plans to have another write-up in the Villager. Furthermore, he's working on a plan to have captions displayed on a large TV near the stage, visible from the first few rows. Now, that would be a problem in here, unless they put it right under where the council is sitting, but at least that's his plan. Kindle classes have ended. iPhone and advanced iPad classes were not held because of scheduling and information issues. Travis was asked why the computers in the computer lab are not up to date. He said a number of residents want older software available, as that's what they're familiar with. Windows 7, I'm told. However, soon only Windows 10 will be available on the PCs, as Microsoft will no longer support Windows 7 and older software. That's my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions from our council? We have a question. Katie?
Actually, I just have a comment, and I think it's for Travis, but I absolutely love No-Mo Robo. It is wonderful.
Are there any other comments or questions from the audience? I don't see any. Thank you, Ed. Next up is our dining committee report. Paul?
Good morning, everyone. I got good news and good news. The good news is that we had very few comments this last month, so our meeting was rather short, our dining committee meeting. And so the other good news is that this will be a short report. The staffing of servers is a continuing, ongoing problem. People do leave, and it's just a continuing thing that they have to bring in new people, but they're keeping up with it. So it's good news there too. There was some complaints about running out of brand muffins, and those they know about that, and they're going to try to order some more and have everybody happy with brand muffins. The Fireside to Go orders, they're placed there at that back register in the cafe, are from 4:30 to 6, and the way that's arranged, that the people in Fireside sitting, well, their orders will have priority over the takeout orders. So that's just something that they will do on an ongoing basis. There was a question about that. We've had several good comments about the attitude of the residents and everything. The Food Works people that come in from outside to serve once in a while have commented about how friendly the folks are here, and I agree with that. One of the things that Cole mentioned about the upcoming parties, but there's been something going on for the past 2 or 3 months. They've been talking about getting together a gathering for a fish fry, and apparently they've been working on it, but they're having trouble finding the right kind of fish for the right kind of price. And so that'll be something that will happen at some point, but we don't know exactly when yet. But otherwise, that's my report.
Are there any, here, Katie has a question.
Do you know how many on average orders to go per night are coming in for the Fireside?
That was mentioned. I didn't write it down. Diane, do you remember? Let's see, what was it? I think it's around 45 or something like that. You know, it's pretty good sized. Well, no, there was one time when somebody came in and ordered 40 some for their own party, and that caused a little. That was a backup for that day. But they knew about that in advance, so I think that was a prime rib night. And the busiest night at the Fireside is Tuesday nights, believe it or not. Don't know why.
Paul, does everybody know that you can order the takeout ahead of time? Isn't that possible?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody knows that or not.
I have never tried to do that. Have anybody out here tried? Does that work, Katie?
It did.
It does work. So they can be ordered ahead of time, and that gives the kitchen the opportunity to know about how many they're going to be serving takeout. It's probably better to order it ahead of time if you
Well,
can.
that one big order was ahead of time.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, okay. Are there any other questions? We have one in the audience at least.
Nope.
Wait for a microphone, please. Thank you.
What number do you call to do the takeout ahead of time?
8406. 8106. Is that written down somewhere? In the
Okay.
Villager.
Oh, at
How
back
about
of the
that?
Villager. Good. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Now, we have health services on the agenda, but I don't know who's making a report for health services. Richard, who is the chairman, Richard Brown, who's the chairman, is always busy on Fridays. And sometimes Bev Rogers makes a report for him, and she is not well today. So I guess we will not have a report from the health services. And we've already had the welcome report. There is no old business, I don't believe. Is there any old business? Do any of you have new business? Well, we have some other things to do. Oh, we have some old business, new business? Yes. You can wait for the microphone, please.
I'm not an authority, but I am a former nurse, and I've talked with quite a few people. Can you hear me?
I can't
Hold
hear
on,
you.
we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I've talked with quite a few people here who have not had the double shingle vaccinations, but there are some people who have not had them and have come down with shingles, and they are in excruciating pain. So whoever is here who hasn't had shingle vaccinations, it's a double business. Please get those.
Thank you. We have some more, needs a microphone. Ann?
I don't believe it's been mentioned, but today from 2 to 3 o'clock, we're going to have Sean Bowie, our senator. This would be an Arizona state legislator, senator. Mitzi Epstein and Jennifer Germain between 2 and 3 o'clock in the skirm this afternoon. And then somewhat down the line, we're going to have a presentation by Greg Stanton, the former mayor, who is now our national level representative. And I've forgotten the date for that, but I think it's a weekend date. Does anybody know? It's next week. Carolyn's looking it up.
Sunday, May 5th, 1 to 2.
Monday, May 5th, 1 to 2. Oh, Sunday, May 5th, 1 to 2. Thank you.
Thank you for, is there anybody else who has announcements? We have another one back here, or a question.
I had requested a few times over the last couple of years that anytime there's a council position open, it be made public before being filled. And I'm wondering if there are plans to do that.
I'm not sure I heard the question. And I'm not sure I know the answer, even if I do, but I'll try.
Well, I had talked to you about it in January, but I've requested a number of times that anytime there is an opening in the council committee, that it be made public before it's filled so that those who are interested could apply.
Oh, okay, we can work on that, yeah. I
Well-
guess I had not remembered that you asked me about that, yeah. This is for the committees you're speaking of?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And the committee chairman would be the ones who would let us know about that. Sometimes there are committees that need specialized skills. Most of them do not, but some do.
Right, and I understand that, but just because it's made public doesn't mean that someone who expresses interest would automatically be chosen. They have to be screened and understand their commitment.
But the chairman would know who's interested, and that's a really good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Okay, we're going to move on to it's under announcements, but Sandy is our very, very capable internet technical person, and she has some things that she's going to present about the garden and about a lot of other things. So now I'm going to turn it over to her.
I'm sure most of you know that the community garden is in the design phases and it's going to be opening up. One of the things that the garden committee thought would be helpful is to have a community garden button on our community apps. So that button is available now. It's the one with the big sunflower that actually was the one down on Main Street. And in this button, you'll have a welcome. There'll be some links and resources, and the minutes from the garden committee meetings will be there. The question and answers info sheet will be there, and shortly the graphics showing the design of the garden will be posted in here. So this is to keep everybody informed, and if there are any suggestions of links for garden activities or places that you think are references that residents might like, let me know and I can post the links in here. Okay. Next, for those of you who are Facebook folks, oops, wait, hold on. I lost it. Well, I'm just going to have to tell you because I seem to have lost. Oh no, there it is. Hang on. Emily has put up a page on Facebook that's a closed page for Friendship Village residents. And if you speak with Emily, she can show you how to be able to get on. And it's a conversation page for residents to share thoughts, ideas, suggestions, want to share activities, photos. We've got some photos of area activities, but things of interest to the village. And it's in Facebook. And I just wanted to mention that it's there, and if you're interested in it, Emily can get you a one-time log on, and then after that, you're able to just click on the link and be able to go into it. So it's kind of fun. There's only 8 of us in there now that have access, but there's all kinds of fun things that can be put up and shared with the village. And there's a picture of Marty. So anyway, that's what I had to share today. Are there any questions? Okay.
Do we have any questions? Paul?
Did you talk about the resident council, the button?
Yes, we spoke about the resident council button last week. Anybody need a refresher?
Probably.
Probably?
Probably.
Okay.
We have more people today.
For anybody who hasn't seen this, we have a residents council button now on community apps. Thank you, Paul. And this takes the place of our resident council information being buried inside organizations. And so our meetings calendars there, our constitution, our annual meetings, minutes, the minutes of all the council meetings for 2018 and 19 will be there. Information about our standing committees. And other things as they come up of information to resident council will be available. And so far, it's gotten a positive reaction, being able to find things easily. And I think for new residents, it's easy to point them to a specific button and let them learn about residents council and hopefully want to participate. Yes.
I'd like to know if we could include the committee reports before this meeting. I'm hard of hearing. It is very difficult for me to understand what they are saying. And a part of it is our system of electronics. But if we could have a section on committee, or I'm not sure, you have to think where you want to put it, but all the committee reports, then I could be reading those while they're being given.
That's a great idea, and I get them electronically, so it's not a problem to put them up into the button, so I'll be happy to do that.
So that means that the committee chairmen need to be sure and have their committee reports in. Sarah, when do you like it? When's the best time for them to have it in? Sandy?
Well, in order to meet Friday morning, it's preferable to have them by Wednesday. And it's also preferable to have them emailed to me, and if you can, and in Word format. That way I cut and paste them into the minutes after the meeting, but I think it's a good suggestion to include them as a separate group on our page. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions? We have another one.
Sandy, could that committee report be posted at the time of the meeting, so that, for instance, if Ed Kearns is giving his report, could it be up on the screen?
It could be up on the screen once it's in the resident button. I can pull that up as each person comes to the podium. Yes.
I would really highly recommend that. For those of us who aren't auditory learners, it helps.
And that would be really good for the audience, not so good for some of you up here, because you wouldn't be able to see it behind you. Are there any other comments? Questions? We have another question in the audience. Marty, they're coming with a microphone.
Not a question, Madam Chair, but if we can get those things posted a couple of days before the meeting, if Sandy can do that, that gives the council members the advantage of being able to have read those before the meeting, and they can intelligently comment on the whole process.
Mm-hmm. So really, it would be better if we can get them in early, Chairman. If you can get them to Sandy even before Wednesday would be a big help. Is that what you're suggesting, Marty? Thank you. Katie.
Here's another question. Can the Communications Committee look into seeing if they can set up Bob Humboldt's symbol, our system, up on this screen? So as people are talking, it goes up here as captions.
Ed?
Ed?
This is one of the things that Travis is working on, but he said, if you do that, then of course, what's up there now would disappear. Unless you worked out some fancy thing, having a second projection screen. That's why he's working on a large TV up front, which of course would not help the resident council.
Thank you.
You have a question?
I just have a comment. Like, I have it on my smartphone. So if anybody has a smartphone and we can get you some training, I mean, I'm seeing everything that's going on right from this phone. So that may be ultimately the best way to go, providing you have a smartphone or if you have a tablet.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it looks like we're moving ahead more and more with communications, which is one of our goals for this year. Are there any other comments or questions? Thank you all for coming. But before you leave, I have one little statement. The really great thing about living in a small community like Friendship Village is that when you don't know what you're doing, someone else does. We're adjourned.
That was just so she could talk
No,
about
I was gonna,
community
I
members
wanted to
being,
make an
or
announcement.
committee
That's all
members
right.
being